Today we are in Willoughby Hills, Ohio, at the site of a castle located in the Cleveland Metro Parks. It's a beautiful shell of a building that park visitors have role-played near, been married in front of, and picnicked next to for generations. The history behind this castle is a tale of riches for a former oil executive at the turn of the 20th century, as well as tales of the supernatural that take unsuspecting visitors by surprise. Today we're going to explore the history and the haunts of Squire's Castle. So, if you're curious, let's take a walk through history. The hauntings of Squire's Castle started soon after Mr. Feargus B. Squire's wife died. Fergus Squire built this castle as a summer retreat for he and his wife, complete with all the furnishings one would desire from an English-inspired estate. This included a trophy room full of taxidermied animals that Mr. Squire accumulated during his many hunting expeditions.
Fergus loved his trophy room. His wife, Louisa, despised it. She was not an outdoors person. She preferred the city life, and she certainly didn't appreciate his trophy room. The many heads staring back at her would send her into a panic, so she avoided the room altogether. So how was it that late one evening, inexplicably, Louisa Squire ventured alone into the trophy room, carrying a red lantern? Was she looking for her husband who was late coming to bed, or perhaps she was sleepwalking? Well, the tale says that while Louisa was in the room, something frightened her. Maybe it was the ghastly faces of the deceased animals glaring back at her, or perhaps she looked into the face of something unearthly that night. Regardless of what it was, Louisa became so frightened that as she fled the room, she fell and broke her neck. Once Fergus found his wife's body, he was devastated. Grief-stricken, he left the estate, never to return. Since that night, some visitors to the castle have reported strange sightings. Apparently, a ghost face of an anxious woman has been seen peering out the second-floor window, a second floor which no longer exists. There are also reports of a glowing red lantern that moves from window to window as if searching for someone or beckoning onlookers to come closer. Still, others have reported hearing the anguished screams of a woman or even seeing Mrs. Squire herself wandering the grounds, lost in a world between this one and the next. That's the haunted tale. Now, here's the history.
Feargus B. Squire was born on February 12th, 1850. to John and Mary Ann Squire of Exeter in Devon, England. In 1860, the Squire family immigrated to America and settled in Cleveland. Educated in public school, Fergus began working at about age 16 for a local oil refinery. He soon founded his own oil refining business and then an oil distribution firm. In fact, Fergus Squire pioneered the development of the tanker truck. He sold his company to Standard Oil in 1876 and worked as an inspector, then helped organize subsidiaries in Maryland. John D. Rockefeller and Feargus Squire became close friends. In fact, Reginald Rockefeller Squire, Fergus's son, was named after the tycoon.
Rockefeller appointed Squire Secretary of Standard Oil in 1885. He was appointed director of a number of Standard Oil subsidiaries and invested in and became director of a number of Cleveland area businesses. Feargus B. Squire was planning to build a magnificent castle mansion patterned after the grand estates in England. Squire's Castle was actually the gatehouse in this grand design. Built in the 1890s, this three-story gatehouse with a basement was built of Euclid bluestone. It had several bedrooms, living areas, a trophy room, a large kitchen, and a breakfast porch. Leaded glass windows looked out on the property. All the castle rooms had white plaster walls, elegant carved moldings, Tiffany glass, and elaborate European furniture. But what the castle lacked was electricity, gas, and running water. Fergus was an avid sportsman who loved the outdoors and had always dreamed of living in the country. His plan was to build a summer retreat for himself and his family where they could spend their days in the beautiful natural surroundings, enjoying high-class country living at its finest.
Fergus and Louisa vacationed here a few times after construction was complete, but legend met reality with Louisa's disdain for country life. There were several occasions when Fergus was called away on business, and Louisa found herself alone and bored in the gatehouse. She missed her lifestyle and friends in the city, so it seems she may have put her foot down and insisted that Fergus abandon construction of the estate. At this point, Fergus discarded the project, only stepping on the property maybe once or twice more, before selling it to developers in 1922.
Before the sale, Fergus built Cobblestone Garth on Millionaire's Row in the town of Wickliffe, Ohio, the last house he and Louisa lived in, until her death in 1927 and his death in 1932. Louisa and Fergus are interred in a mausoleum at Knollwood Cemetery in Mayfield Heights, Ohio. As far as Squire's Castle is concerned, the developers who purchased the building went bankrupt, and the castle sat unoccupied. Then in 1925, Cleveland Metroparks purchased the land and the castle, but due to vandalism were forced to remove all its contents, filled in the basement, and even removed the entire second floor, leaving the bare-bones structure you see today.
So what of the hauntings in the area? Well, no one is quite sure. There have been several sightings in and around the castle that are hard to explain, and perhaps even more difficult to discount. Floating orbs, wandering spirits, women with red lanterns on a second floor that no longer exists. It all adds up to the mystique of the area. But you don't have to take my word for it. Come and visit for yourself, and tell us in the comments how you fared when you visited Squire's haunted castle. Thanks for watching today, folks. We have links to our social media and our Patreon down below if you're so inclined. And if you would, please give this video a like. And if you could subscribe and leave a comment, that would be great. I'd appreciate it. And we'll see you next time as we explore more curious history. Take care.